Bro, if you ever catch your wife and her best friend whispering too much, assume you raise a topic.
A year ago, if you told me my marriage would turn into a goddamn legal battlefield, I'd have laughed in your face. Back then, I thought I was living the dream. I had a good paying job, a paid off house, and a wife who, at least I thought, respected the grind. We weren't rich, but we were stable, comfortable. I put in the work, and I was proud of that.
I'm Ethan, 38.
Been working aerospace maintenance at Lockheed for years. I'm not flashy, but I've got my shit together. Bought our house in Colorado Springs outright after 10 years of hustling and saving.
Paid cash. Built a solid little life for me and my wife, Natalie. Natalie is 36, ex-Air Force logistics clerk.
Smart, quick-witted, super driven when we first met. She had this magnetic thing going on. Sharp tongue, strong opinions, but also this warmth that made you feel seen. And for the first 3 years, she was solid, supportive, proud of what I did. She used to tell people, my husband's the guy who fixes jets so they don't fall out of the sky. But lately something changed, slowly at first.
Little things.
She stopped asking how my day was. Started getting defensive about random stuff. Me being late, not texting fast enough, even the way I folded laundry.
And then came Tasha.
Tasha's her best friend from base life.
Divorced Twisse.
Walks around like she's the CEO of everyone's business. You know, the type, constantly broke but flexing like she's an influencer, full of advice she doesn't take herself. When Tasha moved back into town and started coming around more, that's when the cracks started showing. Flashback 8 months ago, we were having tacos on a random Tuesday night. I was tired, just got off a double shift. Natalie dropped her fork and just blurted, "Do you ever think about combining our accounts, like fully, house, savings, everything?"
I blinked.
What brought that up? Tasha said it's weird that we're still operating like roommates. We've been married 5 years, Ethan, bro.
My gut instantly clenched.
I'd explained before, my savings and work funds were separate because aerospace work is contract-based.
Shit goes sideways fast in my line. I needed buffers, legal ones.
I told her that again calmly, but she didn't look at me, just kept pushing beans around her plate.
You don't trust me, she mumbled.
It's not that, I said, trying to keep it light.
It's just business. WHY komplikate clean systems. She didn't answer.
Just got up, said she wasn't hungry anymore, and left the dishes untouched. That's when I realized we weren't having a financial conversation. We were starting a war. Then the comments started out of nowhere. She started comparing me to her friends' husbands, guys with 9 to 5s who were home every night, bringing flowers and planning date nights. She'd roll her eyes every time I talked about work. You in that damn hangar, she snapped one night. Maybe if you spent less time fixing planes and more time fixing us.
I could hair off. I wie benze von keeping the lights on, Natalie. She just laughed. And not the cute kind.
Tasha says love isn't about money. It's about showing up. You haven't been showing up. I was fuming.
WTF?
Tasha doesn't even have a job. But now she's the marriage coach? Then came the crypto pitch.
No joke.
2 weeks later, Natalie sits me down like it's a board meeting. I think we should invest in this crypto project Tasha found. It's a decentralized asset fund. High yield, low risk. I damn near choked on my coffee. You want me to put our money, into something Tasha found on Reddit?
You don't get it, Natalie.
She tried to sell essential oils last year and got banned from Facebook. She learned her lesson.
This is different.
We'd both be listed as founding investors.
It clicked.
Tasha wasn't just whispering poison into Natalie's ear.
She was scheming something. I told her no. Hard no.
And that night, Natalie slept on the couch. Fast forward 5 months ago, I caught them. Not in bed but worse. In strategy mode. They were in the kitchen. Thought I was in the garage. I'd come back to grab my charger and froze when I heard Tasha say, he won't do it unless he thinks it's his idea.
CRY little. Bring up commitment.
Guilt works on guys like him.
I hört Natalie lauk. Yeah, I wie been slowly planting the seeds.
He's almost there. I stood there in the hallway, ears burning, heart racing. That was the moment, the exact moment I stopped being a husband and became a target. And from then on, I stopped reacting and started preparing. That night, after hearing them in the kitchen, I didn't storm in.
I didst confront.
I didn't even breathe too loud. I walked back to the garage like nothing happened and sat there in my truck for an hour. No music, just the engine ticking as it cooled down. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from this rising fury sitting right under my skin.
You ever realize in real time that so mione you laugh is playing you?
Because that's what it felt like, a goddamn setup. They weren't having a relationship crisis. They were running a con.
And I was the sucker.
The next morning, I started moving. First thing I did was call my dad, Vietnam vet, retired mechanic, no nonsense kind of guy.
Told him what I heard. He didn't even flinch. You married a snake, son. And her friend's the venom. Time to cut both. He was right. I knew he was right.
But something about hearing it out loud hit different because once you admit it, once you stop romanticizing it, it gets a lot easier to plan your exit. We met with a lawyer that Friday. Guy specializes in asset protection and contract shielding for military contractors. Not cheap, but worth every damn penny.
I lighted all out. My accounts, my savings, the house deed, everything. He didn't blink. We can build a trust. Irrevocable. Move the house and the business funds over.
As long as she hasn't contributed financially, it's yours to protect. God bless legal language. In 2 weeks, my house was in a family trust under my dad's name. I still live there, still controlled it, but on paper, Natalie couldn't touch it. Same with the savings account. I closed the joint checking under the pretense of switching banks, moved everything into a business-only fund, tied directly to my contracts. Natalie didn't notice. She was too busy following Tasha's script, crying, picking fights, then doing the whole passive-aggressive wife thing like I was just too cold to care.
I cared. Oh, I fucking cared.
But I wasn't going to give her the fight she was fishing for. I kept receipts instead. Phone records, bank statements, her sudden spending spikes, new clothes, salon trips, a subscription to some influencer's financial mentorship course that smelled suspiciously like a pyramid scheme. I documented everything, every lie, every weird move, every time she asked about my 401k. Because here's the thing, people like Tasha think they're smart. They forget some of us play the long game better. I let Natalie build her case. She thought she was setting a trap, but all she was doing was walking into mine.
Then came the file. I found it on her laptop one night.
She left it open, probably meant to send it to Tasha. It was a Google Doc titled, Just in Case Talking Points. I wish I was joking.
In it, bullet points like so mit twisted PowerPoint-Präsentation.
Accusations she could make if things went south, emotional neglect, financial secrecy, control issues, even one that said, mention therapy suggestion rejection, evince lack of growth. I sat there staring at the screen like I was reading someone else's life. My wife had built an exit strategy like it was a business pitch. I took a screenshot, emailed it to myself, backed it up in 3 places. She had no clue. 3 weeks later, it happened. I got home from work. She was dressed up, heels, makeup, the works. I knew that look.
It was the presentation face.
We need to talk, she said, real serious.
I sat down, calm, nodded.
I've been doing a lot of thinking, she started. And I feel like we've grown apart. You don't include me in financial decisions. You've made me feel like a guest in my own marriage. Textbook, word for word, what was in the file. I think we need to reassess this relationship. Unless things change like full transparency, joint control, I don't see this going anywhere.
I didn't flinch.
Just looked her in the eye and said, all right. She blinked like I had missed my cue.
Weit wat? I agree.
This marriage isn't working. She opened her mouth to backpedal, but I didn't give her the chance. I slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, divorce papers already signed with a letter from my lawyer stating our assets were already secured in a trust with documentation proving they were premarital and non-contributory.
She went pale.
You can't be serious, she whispered. I'm dead serious, I said. You wanted a reaction.
This is it.
You've been building your exit strategy.
I just beat you to the door. She started crying. The performance kind, shaky voice.
You're just throwing this away.
Everything wie built.
I leaned back. We didn't build shit.
I built this.
You just tried to steal it.
Boom. Mask off.
The next few days were hell. She moved out, ran straight to Tasha's, I'm sure. Tried calling me nonstop, left voicemails that swung from begging to screaming to threatening lawsuits.
I didn't respond.
My lawyer did. Then came Tasha's big move. Apparently, she thought she could intimidate me into reconsidering. Showed up at my house with some cheap suit lawyer who looked like he got his degree off Craigslist. They tried to claim I was hiding assets. I smiled, handed them my trust documentation. Tasha's face when she realized they had nothing was chef's kiss. "This isn't over," she spat. "No," I said, "it's just beginning for you." Because what I didn't tell her, I'd submitted the contents of Natalie's talking points file along with proof of her and Tasha's manipulation attempts to their ex-employer's legal department. See, they were both trying to re-qualify for a civilian logistics contract tied to the Air Force. Guess who got flagged for fraud and blacklisted?
Yep.
Screw around and find out. After Tasha's dramatic exit, I locked the door, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and sat on the back porch staring at the mountains. I hadn't felt that calm in months. It was a weird kind of peace, the kind you only feel when the storm finally passes and all that's left is cleanup and maybe a little scorched earth. But of course, Natalie wasn't done. 3 days after she got served the divorce filing, she came crawling back. Literally showed up at my door in a hoodie, sunglasses, and the fakest wounded lamb look I've ever seen.
Ethan, can we talk, just for a minute?
I leaned on the door frame, arms crossed. About what?
Everything. I made mistakes.
But we don't have to do this. Oh, now it's wieder. I didn't even invite her inside, just stood there while she rambled.
Tasha's gone too far.
I didn't realize how much I let her get in my head.
You're a good man.
You didn't deserve this.
I let her talk.
Let her dig. And just when she looked like she might try and hug me, I stopped her. Did she also get in your head when you wrote up the talking points doc or when you signed up for that crypto thing under both our names?
Her face turned to stone.
You were spying on me.
I almost laughed. I was protecting myself. You weren't being a wife. You were being a fucking opportunist. Boom. There it was. The mask cracked again.
Her eyes narrowed, and the fake softness drained away. You think you're smart, but this won't go your way.
Divorce courts don't care about your little plans.
I gave 5 years to this marriage. That means something. Yeah, it means I owe you 5 years worth of therapy.
Maybe.
Good luck convincing a judge, I said, when everything was protected legally, and I have you on record planning a financial setup. You're not walking away with a cent. She tried to push past me. I stepped back and shut the door in her face. Cue screaming, pounding, then silence. She never came back after that.
But it didn't stop there.
A week later, Tasha fired off one last Hail Mary. She went to social media, posted a vague-ass story on Instagram full of emojis and no names. Some men pretend to be heroes, but they're just emotionally abusive control freaks. Don't be fooled by the job title or the house.
Nice try.
But you know how small this town is. Everyone figured out who she was talking about in like 2 minutes, especially since she tagged a business mentor account that had a whopping 89 followers and no posts.
So, what did I do? Nothing.
Just watched because karma was already pulling up a chair. Turns out, someone in her crypto circle got scammed out of 10 grand and filed a complaint. And when investigators started digging, guess who they found tied to it through referral codes and backdoor payments?
Tasha and Natalie. Yep.
Apparently, they'd been running a consulting scam behind the scenes, recruiting people into a fake investment scheme and collecting commissions. And because Natalie used my home address to register some of the paperwork, guess who got subpoenaed? I brought my lawyer, brought receipts, emails, texts, and even that audio clip I'd saved from their kitchen whisper session. The investigator blinked when I hit play, make him feel guilty.
CYA.
I watched him pause the recording and write something down. Later, my lawyer leaned over and whispered, "You may have just saved yourself from being dragged into a fraud case. Dodged a missile, not a bullet." Now, here's where things got delicious. A mutual friend of ours, Michelle, reached out. She works at the same company where Tasha had tried and failed to get a contract.
Michelle's the queen of passive chaos.
Never starts it, but if she hears something, it finds the light. She tells me, "You're not gonna believe this, but Tasha was hooking up with her ex the whole time she was giving Natalie divorce advice." I nearly spit out my drink. Wait, the same dude she divorced for cheating on her with a barista? Yep, same guy. Turns out Tasha was preaching independence and empowerment while sneaking around to have late-night dinners with a man she swore ruined her life. Meanwhile, she was egging Natalie on to destroy hers. And it gets better.
Natalie found out.
Walked into some Mexican place downtown and saw them holding hands across a damn margarita pitcher. She caused a scene, breadsticks thrown, screaming in public kind of scene.
People recorded it.
I saw the video on Reddit the next day. Title was "Messy Blonde Loses It on Sister Friend Over Ex-Boyfriend."
I died.
From that point on, Natalie went into full spiral. She tried to move in with her parents, but that only lasted a month. Apparently, her mom laid into her about ruining a good thing and letting that trashy friend brainwash her. Next thing I know, Natalie's working retail at a department store, trying to keep up rent on a studio apartment.
I didn't stalk her, but people talk. It's a small town. Tas ha? Total meltdown.
Lost her last shot at a consulting gig, blocked half the town after the video went viral. Last I heard, she was trying to pitch a healing retreat for divorced women in Arizona.
No honest bullying.
Meanwhile, I kept my house, kept my job, and got my peace back. I started dating again too.
Elena, Gerants a Logistik Startup. Real sharp, funny as hell, en tot alligeze contractor lifestyle.
We bonded over mutual love for vintage aircraft and black coffee. When I told her about what went down, she just sipped her drink and said, "Sounds like you dodged a grenade." Damn right I did. I didn't think I'd hear from Natalie again. Honestly, I figured she'd slink away into the background, maybe start a YouTube channel on healing through loss or some other BS. But no, she popped back up like a bad pop-up ad. This time it was through her lawyer. Yep. After getting humiliated publicly, fired socially, and financially wrecked, Natalie decided her next big move was to try and squeeze spousal support out of me.
Legittime alimony, no less.
When I got the email from her attorney, I laughed so hard I actually wheezed. My lawyer didn't laugh though. They're banking on sympathy from a judge, he said, especially if she plays the "I supported him while he worked" angle.
Support? Please.
She spent more time curating Pinterest boards for imaginary renovations than actually participating in our life. And let's not forget, she wasn't a stay-at-home wife. She worked part-time, voluntarily. She had opportunities. Declined every single one. You can't claim sacrifice when you were busy crafting Instagram captions while I was turning wrenches on jet engines. Still, I wasn't about to get cocky. We compiled everything, screenshots of her crypto pitches, those talking points, timestamps of her Amazon binges at 2 a.m., and even her own text admitting that Tasha said, "Make him think it's his idea." The cherry on top, a timeline showing when she quit her job right after the divorce papers hit, clearly trying to look more financially dependent. The judge took one look at the stack of evidence and said, and I quote, "This appears to be an attempt to manufacture dependency."
Petition denied.
No alimony, no asset claim, not even a toaster. She walked out of that courtroom looking like she just got hit by a snowplow full of karma.
And me?
I walked out lighter. You'd think that'd be the end of it, that she'd finally get the message, game over. But nope, Natalie had one last grenade to throw. She went to my family, specifically my mom. Now, my mom is sweet, retired nurse, bakes casseroles, loves rom-coms, and wants grandkids so badly she practically stalks my cousin's toddler on Facebook. And yeah, she liked Natalie, fell for the act, thought she was a strong woman with backbone. So when Natalie showed up, mascara streaked and dragging a suitcase like a budget rom-com villain, my mom let her in.
Bad idea.
She gave her tea, listened to her sob story, let her stay the night. Next morning, I got a call. "Ethan, I think she just needs closure."
You two should talk. She's hurting.
My brain short-circuited. Mom, she tried to rob me blind.
People make mistakes.
Maybe she regrets it. She regrets getting caught. That night, I showed up at Mom's, walked in, and saw Natalie sitting at the kitchen table like she belonged there. Same manipulative half-smile, same doe eyes she used when she wanted something.
Hey, she said, like nothing happened. No, I said.
This isn't happening. My mom tried to interject, but I cut her off.
She's not staying here. It's just one night, Ethan.
She needed somewhere safe. She needed a lawyer and a moral compass, not a guest room. Natalie stood up, voice trembling in that fake way she thought would still work. "I didn't come here to fight." "Then why are you still in my life?"
Silence.
I turned to my mom, softening just a little.
I love you.
But enabling her is not kindness, Mom, it's betrayal. Choose wisely.
Ten I valket out.
2 hours later, I got a text from Mom, "She's gone."
I'm sorry. You're right. A month passed. Peaceful, mostly.
No new messages, no court letters, no pop-up emotional ambushes. I thought that was it until the podcast. I was driving home from work, listening to some small-time relationship podcast Eleanor recommended, one of those healing through truth deals. This woman was interviewing guests anonymously about toxic breakups.
And then a voice came on.
I nearly pulled over. It was Natalie. I'd recognize that voice anywhere, That smug, self-aware but not really tone she used when trying to sound like a victim while still feeling superior. I was married to this man who treated our relationship like a business. Everything was a contract. He never let me in. I felt like an outsider. Host, did you ask to be included?
I did. And when I pushed, he pushed back harder. It was controlling.
Eventually, I had to protect myself. Host, so you left? Not exactly. I tried to fix it, but he was cold.
Calculated.
He made me feel small.
What's the Aktualfak?
She didn't name me, but the details, spot on. The cold aerospace guy with a house, a job, and trust issues. Anyone who knew us would connect the dots. And it wasn't just the lies. It was the way she told them, like she was still proud of it. Like she was the brave one. I paused the podcast, deleted the whole app, and for the first time in months, didn't feel rage. I felt pity because here's the thing. People like Natalie, they rewrite stories because they can't stand the truth. It's not about justice or closure. It's about control. Even when they lose, they still want to script the narrative.
But I wasn't part of that anymore. She could tell whatever story she wanted. Mine was real.
Eleanor and I started growing closer. I told her everything, not all at once, but piece by piece. And one night, sitting on my porch with her feet in my lap and wine in her hand, she said something that stuck. You didn't just survive her.
You rebuilt after her. That's power. She was right.
I didn't torch Natalie. I didn't expose her on Reddit or blast her podcast or leak her lies.
I just outlived the chaos. Tat the revenge no one sees coming. It was a Friday.
Quiet day at work, the kind where you knock out your to-do list early and get to sneak out before traffic turns to hell. I'm driving home, windows down, radio humming, feeling good for once, like everything's finally settled. No new fires, no passive-aggressive texts, no backdoor schemes. Then I got the call, not from Natalie, from Tasha's ex-husband, Jared. Yeah, that Jared, the one she torched in divorce court, bled dry in alimony, and then slandered all over town like he was Satan with a credit card. I hadn't talked to him since the wedding. Honestly, forgot he even existed. Ethan, he says, voice low and serious, we need to talk. It's about Tasha and Natalie. I pulled over so fast I almost took out a mailbox. We met that night at this greasy little burger joint just off I-25. Jared looked beat. Not physically, emotionally, like someone who'd been punched in the soul 5 too many times.
He cut straight to it.
Tasha's trying to rope me back in. Says she's changed, that she misses stability.
You know what?
She really misses health insurance and a co-signed lease. He chuckled bitterly. I started digging. Found out she'd been talking to Natalie again. Thought you should know.
I blinked. White, again?
I thought they had their big blow-up.
Yeah, they did.
But users like Tasha, they always circle back, especially when there's mutual resentment.
Misery links up like Wi-Fi. He nodded slowly.
Let it sink in. Turns out Natalie had reached out to Tasha behind the scenes after all the fallout, after their public restaurant war, after the podcast. And what did they do?
Started shaming again.
Only this time, it wasn't just about me.
It was about Eleanor.
Apparently, Natalie found Eleanor's Instagram and her business and decided that she must be the villain in her rewritten fairy tale. In Natalie's new narrative, Eleanor was the other woman, the seductive startup chick who swooped in and stole her emotionally distant husband. Spoiler, I met Eleanor 5 months after the divorce was filed.
5.
But details don't matter when someone's rewriting history to protect their ego. They were planning to go after Eleanor's company.
Yep.
Try to smear her online, discredit her logistics business through fake reviews, and whispered rumors about her stealing married men. Tasha, of course, had connections in marketing, which basically meant she knew a guy who ran a burner-bot account on Twitter. It was childish, petty, but it had legs. Enough fake smoke can make people believe there's a fire. So, I did what I do best.
I prepared.
First thing I did was tell Eleanor all of it. We were having dinner at her place. Tacos, wine, nothing fancy. I told her about the call from Jared, the plan, the fake cheating narrative.
She didn't even blink. Let them try, she said. You know what I do for a living?
I move fragile crap across state lines on tight deadlines.
I don't break under pressure.
I invoice it.
God, I love this woman.
But still, we weren't going to just let it play out.
We went on defense.
She flagged her company accounts, talked to her own legal team, set up alerts for fake reviews and keyword monitors for anything shady. Meanwhile, I called Jared again. You still have access to her email?
He laughed.
She never changed the recovery phone number. Idiot uses the same 2 passwords for everything. He didn't give me access, but he sent over a PDF of recent drafts. One of them, a fake blog post titled, "What Happens When Your Husband Leaves You for a Startup Shark?" I forwarded it to my lawyer. 2 weeks later, Tasha's friend posted a thread about Eleanor's company on Twitter. All vague, all insinuations, no names, but clearly targeting her. Said she was poaching married men, had a reputation, and weaponized her looks to climb the ladder. It had like 20 likes, no retweets, but that wasn't the point. They were laying groundwork, seeding the story. What they didn't count on, Eleanor's PR guy is savage. He did a background check on the Twitter account, traced it to a known burner ring used by people who'd been flagged for harassment campaigns. Then he published a blog post, calm, factual, and brutal, about how to spot digital defamation and the people behind it. Didn't name names, but the screenshots he included, oh boy. Same phrasing, same pattern. Even included an old post from Natalie's Pinterest that matched a quote used in the smear tweet. Within hours, the smear thread got flagged and deleted.
Twitter locket the Burner account.
Reddit mods nuked 2 follow-up posts. Tasha's attempt at a viral slander campaign died like a bad reality show pilot, but the damage to them, that was permanent. Here's the wildest part. After the smear failed, I got one last message from Natalie.
She didn't text.
She mailed a damn letter, like it was the 1800s and she was writing from exile. Inside, 3 pages handwritten on that fake fancy stationery you get from Target when you're trying to feel rich. It started off like a confession, apologies, regrets, saying she'd let bitterness guide her, let Tasha infect her brain. Admitted she never actually wanted to ruin me. She just didn't want to lose to me.
But then it twisted.
She said she still loved me. Said I'd always be the one, even though she sabotaged it. And then she asked if we could meet, just for closure. I read it twice, then tossed it in the fireplace. I don't need closure from someone who saw me as a ladder to climb or a vault to crack open.
That's not love.
That's greed and drag. Eleanor and I, we're good.
Better than good.
We travel, work hard, sleep like rocks. There's no drama, no second guessing, just 2 grown-ass adults living life with respect and clarity. Sometimes I catch myself wondering what would have happened if I never overheard that kitchen conversation. If I'd signed over accounts, bought the dream, let them win.
ID be broke, bitter, alone.
Instead, I'm free, wiser, whole.
Tasha and Natalie built a plan around entitlement. I built a wall of proof.
They thought they were the storm. Turns out, I was the fucking levee.